Alright folks, gather round because this one's packed with drama, energy, and that unmistakable Rangers spirit. The weekend might have finally brought a much-needed sigh of relief after that convincing win, but it didn't take long for all eyes to shift toward what's next. And that's where things start getting really interesting. Danny Roll, the German gaffer who's barely been in Glasgow for a few weeks, has already started dropping some serious hints about what January could look like. After the final whistle, instead of just soaking in the victory, he was straight into talking about transfers, about growth, and about how this team can take the next big step. And if you've been following the Rangers lately, you know that the conversation around strikers has been one of the hottest topics. It's no secret that the front line has been under pressure. The fans have been patient, but goals win games, and consistency up top is exactly what's been missing. That's why Roll's words hit differently. He didn't shy away from the tough questions. He spoke with confidence, saying he believes in his current players, but knows there's still plenty to improve. And that's the kind of balance supporters have been craving. A manager who's not afraid to admit what's wrong, but still backs his squad to push through it. Now let's talk about that win. 3-0 away to Dundee, and finally, something that looked like real progress. The team played with purpose, the shape was solid, and most importantly, there was belief. You could see it in the players' body language, a bit of swagger that's been missing for too long. And for Roll, that's huge. Since stepping in, he's brought a sense of calm authority, the kind that makes players want to listen and work harder. Rangers have now gone unbeaten in the Scottish Premiership since he arrived, and that stat alone is giving fans something to hold on to. But even with that positivity, the shadow of the league table looms large. Hearts are still ahead by 12 points, and Celtic keep doing what Celtic do, grinding out wins and keeping the pressure on. So, when Ally McCoist, the Rangers legend himself, was asked about Roll's start, his reaction was spot on. He said it's been a great turnaround but urged everyone to stay realistic. And honestly, that's fair. McCoist knows better than anyone what it takes to rebuild a team at Ibrox. He praised Roll for his professionalism, for the way he carries himself, and for the early changes that already brought stability. Still, McCoist wasn't shy about sharing a bit of concern for Hearts after their draw against Dundee United. He pointed out how crucial those matches are if you want to stay in a title fight. Those are the games that separate contenders from pretenders. Celtic handled their business comfortably, as they usually do, but for Hearts, dropping points like that can quickly turn into a slippery slope. McCoist's words were measured but telling. It's early, but the momentum in this league can shift in an instant, and right now, Roll's Rangers are quietly finding their rhythm. Back to the blue side of Glasgow, though, because what's really stirring debate right now is that looming January transfer window. And this is where things heat up. When Roll was asked if he needed another striker, he played it cool. He said he's got 3 forwards, he's working with them closely, and he's focused on improving what's already in the building. He wants belief, he wants commitment, and he's not giving up on anyone just yet. It's a refreshing stance in a football world that often jumps straight to buying new players as the solution. But let's be honest, the stats don't lie. Youssef Chermatai, one of the big summer signings, came in with a price tag that raised eyebrows. £10 million is a lot of money in Scottish football, especially for a young forward still trying to prove himself. And so far, it hasn't clicked. 1 goal in 12 appearances isn't good enough, and fans have started to lose patience. Then you've got Majowski, who's managed to find the net twice, but again, not enough to really ease the pressure. And Danilo, well, he's been around for over 2 years now, showing flashes of brilliance, but never quite stringing together a consistent run. That's why Roll's words are being picked apart by supporters. When he says he's still observing, still taking notes on who's got potential and who's falling short, people are reading between the lines. He's evaluating, planning, and shaping the team in his image. And it makes sense. Every new manager wants to bring in a few of his own guys, the players who fit his style and understand his philosophy. So, even though he's saying all the right things about his current strikers, there's a feeling that January could see some movement up front. And speaking of movement, the situation with Chermatai might already be reaching its breaking point. Reports suggest a potential loan move to Braga could be on the cards, barely 3 months after his arrival. Think about that for a second. 10 million spent on a player who might be out the door before he's even settled. That's not just disappointing, it's alarming. It raises serious questions about recruitment, about decision-making, and about whether the club's strategy is really aligned with what happens on the pitch. The whole thing has sparked heated debate among fans. Some say Chermatai was never given a proper chance, that confidence plays a huge role for young strikers, and that sending him away now would only destroy what's left of his belief. Others argue the opposite, that he's been given plenty of opportunities, and his performances simply haven't justified the investment. Either way, it's a tricky situation. You can't ignore the numbers, but you also can't dismiss the human side of football. A player's mindset, their environment, their adaptation, all of that matters. The Portuguese forward arrived from Everton with big expectations. He was supposed to be that bold investment in youth and potential, a signing that showed Rangers were thinking long-term. Instead, he's looked out of place and short of confidence. His display against Celtic was particularly rough. He was bullied off the ball too easily, his runs were mistimed, and he just didn't look comfortable. You could feel the frustration from the stands. Fans want to get behind him, but football in Glasgow is ruthless. If you don't perform, the criticism comes hard and fast. And it's not just the player feeling the heat. Kevin Thelwell, the sporting director who pushed for the signing, is now facing heavy scrutiny too. £10 million for a striker who hadn't scored a senior goal in over 2 years? That's a huge gamble, and right now, it looks like it hasn't paid off. Rangers' transfer model has always been about finding value, developing talent, and then selling for a profit. But in this case, the value is evaporating by the day. The fans see it as a sign that something deeper needs fixing in the club's recruitment structure. Meanwhile, Danny Roll continues to strike the right tone publicly. He's not throwing anyone under the bus. Instead, he's talking about growth, about collective responsibility, and about the importance of using the full squad. That's what top managers do. They don't panic. They assess and adapt. Roll's approach seems rooted in development. He's mentioned players like Mikey Moore as examples of progress. The young midfielder has been showing signs of confidence, even grabbing a goal recently, and Roll highlighted that as proof the system is starting to work. And that's what gives fans hope. They can see a plan forming. It's not instant success, but it's structure. The team is pressing higher, the passing is sharper, and there's finally a sense of direction again. Of course, results are what matter most, but performance often comes first. Fix that, and the wins follow. Roll seems to understand that perfectly. He's already shown that he's not just a motivator. He's a thinker, a strategist who studies every detail. He said he's been taking notes on every player's strengths and weaknesses, which shows how meticulous he is. So, while the January window looms large, the bigger story might be about identity, about who Rangers want to be under Roll. Is it a team that spends big chasing instant solutions, or one that builds carefully, nurturing talent and creating stability? Right now, the answer feels like it's somewhere in between. The club can't afford too many more transfer misfires, but at the same time, they can't stop investing if they want to challenge at the top again. Every decision from here on out will be magnified, every result dissected. And that's life at Rangers. The expectations never shrink, no matter the circumstances. For now, though, that win over Dundee offers something to cling to. The fans walked away smiling again. The players looked united, and the atmosphere around the club finally felt lighter. Danny Roll has done more than just steady the ship. He's reignited belief. But with January fast approaching, everyone's wondering what comes next, and whether this newfound momentum will carry through once the transfer dominoes start to fall. And as we roll into this next phase of the season, the mood around Ibrox feels cautiously optimistic. The cracks are still there, no doubt, but for the first time in a while, you can sense a bit of unity between the stands and the dressing room. That connection matters more than people realize. When the team steps onto the pitch and feels that roar behind them, it changes everything. Danny Roll's trying to build something sustainable, something that goes beyond quick fixes. And you can tell the players are buying into his philosophy, little by little. Training sessions have been sharper, the communication between the lines has improved, and even in games where things don't go perfectly, there's now a clear idea of what the manager wants. Still, there's one question that just won't go away. What happens with the strikers? Every fan has their own opinion, and the debate isn't slowing down. Danilo's resurgence is a welcome sight, especially after such a rough spell, but the weight of expectation on the forward line remains heavy. Goals are the currency of football, and at Rangers, that's even truer. The supporters aren't just hoping for wins. They're demanding performances that remind everyone of what this club stands for. And when you're chasing a title, every missed chance feels like a step backward. Roll knows this. He's not naive. He's seen enough in his short time here to understand that patience in Glasgow is measured in minutes, not months. Behind the scenes, the scouting department's been busy. There's talk of potential reinforcements being lined up quietly, players who fit Roll's vision, high energy, disciplined, technically sound. But bringing in new faces isn't as simple as it sounds. The club's still dealing with the financial weight of past mistakes, and splashing cash without a clear plan would only make things worse. That's why Roll's careful words about improving the current squad are so important. He's sending a message. This is about evolution, not revolution. Meanwhile, the focus has to stay on consistency. The league table doesn't lie, and 12 points is a big gap to close, even if the season still has plenty of football left to play. But stranger things have happened in Scottish football. Momentum is a powerful thing, and once it starts rolling, it can carry a team far beyond what anyone expected. The key for Rangers will be staying grounded while building confidence week by week. Roll's tactical approach has already shown signs of promise. He's tightening the midfield, giving more freedom to the wingers, and trying to unlock creativity that's been missing since the start of the campaign. You can see the difference in players like Todd Cantwell and Tom Lawrence, who are beginning to find rhythm again after a frustrating few months. What's been refreshing is Roll's honesty. He doesn't hide behind excuses. When the team plays poorly, he says so. When they do well, he gives credit to the players. That kind of transparency earns respect fast. You can feel it in the press conferences, where his tone strikes the perfect balance between authority and humility. He's not trying to be the star of the show. He's focused entirely on building a team that speaks for itself on the pitch. And that humility might be exactly what Rangers have needed after a turbulent period of managerial changes and false dawns. Now, let's circle back to Youssef Chermatai, because his situation still dominates conversations. For a player once hailed as a rising star in Portugal, his time in Glasgow has been nothing short of a nightmare. Confidence is a fragile thing, especially for young strikers, and once it starts to fade, it can be incredibly hard to recover. You can see it in his movement, in the hesitation when chances come his way. It's not that he lacks talent. It's that he's playing like someone afraid to make a mistake. That's a dangerous mindset, particularly in front of a demanding fan base like Rangers. If the loan to before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. Whispers are swirling around Ibrox this week as word spreads that Rangers are on the verge of completing a sensational move for ENIS BARDHI. The North Macedonian playmaker, long admired across European football for his sharp passing and eye for goal, is reportedly in advanced talks with the Glasgow Giants. Sources close to the deal have hinted that the agreement is all but sealed, with only final details left to be ironed out before an official announcement hits the headlines. BARDHI, who has plied his trade in both La Liga and the Turkish Super League, is said to have been on the Rangers' radar for some time. The club's recruitment team, led by sporting director Nils Koppen, has been actively scouting for a creative spark to energize the middle of the park, and BARDHI fits the bill perfectly. Known for his precise free kicks and ability to dictate tempo, he could bring the kind of technical flair that's been missing since the departure of key midfield figures in recent seasons. Insiders suggest that BARDHI has already been impressed by the club's ambition and the passionate atmosphere surrounding Ibrox. Discussions have reportedly included plans for his role under the current coaching setup, with management seeing him as a linchpin capable of linking defense to attack in fluid style. Fans online are already buzzing, with social media ablaze with speculation and mock-ups of BARDHI donning the famous blue shirt. While the club has remained tight-lipped, a few well-placed hints from those in the know suggest an announcement could be imminent. If the deal goes through, it would represent a major coup for Rangers, potentially signaling a new tactical direction for the team's midfield. For now, supporters will have to wait for the official word, but the noise around Govan is growing louder by the hour. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.